Oh, sorry guys. I was introducing Laurie and talking about Community Foundation of Tampa Bay, where we have transferred our endowment funds so that we can not only earn a pretty good rate of return, but also so that our funds are protected and better managed. So we're really glad to have found this repository for our important nest egg. So we also want to acknowledge Laurie, who's been quite helpful to us in the transition process and who has helped our endowment board enormously in things major and not so major as we proceed along our path. So Laurie, thank you so much for all your help and assistance. We really appreciate it. So Laurie is here to talk a little bit more about what it means to provide for the future, not only your future, but the future of UU St. Pete. So she is an attorney. She's had a private law practice and is, she also, let's see, spent 23 years with, I'm not going to get, Kentucky Baptist Foundation. So she's very well versed in what it means to provide for yourself, provide for those you love. I'll turn it over to her. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much. I am just very honored. Got a chance to meet Jeff and Rebecca last year and have enjoyed working with the church. We are very honored. Every time we get another fund, we feel blessed and benefited by it and hope to do a very good job. So I love it. So that, y'all were one of my first nonprofit, if you will, funds. So I hold you dearly and you're mine. So no, anyone at Community Foundation would help. But I am pleased. And this today feels like I'm in my old traces because in my work with the Kentucky Baptist Foundation, I'm a Florida native, Tampa Bay area native, but we were up there for 24 years, and 23 plus of those I was in-house attorney for the Kentucky Baptist Foundation, but I was out and about all over the Commonwealth, speaking in churches, either during Sunday school hour, after the morning worship, or in like a Sunday evening or Wednesday evening worship time. So this feels very normal to me. I kind of back in those. So I'm going to go ahead and get started today. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but you can see this. Maybe there's another way, and definitely, hopefully those that are online or will watch this later, I assume you're recording it, great. Then it's here for posterity. So we're going to go ahead and get started on legacy giving ideas and benefits. Well, I think. Try that. Okay. Does that change? Good. Okay. So I'm going to just do this too. So legacy giving. Legacy giving, unlike giving for monthly, weekly offering, or other kinds of annual giving you may give to other nonprofit organizations that you support, which generally comes out of income. Legacy giving is giving out of your assets. It's also giving, sometimes called planned giving, because you're looking at your overall estate and financial plan and thinking about this much more intentionally, because you're giving out of your assets. What you give for legacy giving to the UU Church St. Pete Endowment Fund or other charities obviously is not going to be there for your family. So thinking through all of that to how to benefit the causes you've cared about and supported all during your lifetime, beyond your lifetime. And many of the ways that you can give, and I'll be talking about today, are tax advantaged, meaning you may be able to give it sooner than you ever expected to, or more than you ever expected to. So, we'll be talking about that. And sometimes, not all, some of the things are not going to require some kind of professional advisor, an attorney, tax advisor, insurance agent, but some things you can do on your own, but many require some type of professional advisor to assist you in some way. And, I'll note those as we go along. So, benefits. Tax savings, believe it or not, survey after survey over years and years and years, even for the most wealthy, tax savings is not in the top 10 reasons that people do charitable giving, whether during their lifetime. Now, it can help. As I said, it can maybe allow you to give more than you expected to because of the tax benefits. It may be able to allow you to do it at an earlier time than you expected. But tax savings is definitely a benefit of that. Reduce probate expense. If you have given it or set it up to go out of a beneficiary designation or whatever at your death, then it's not going to have to go through the probate court system to pass it at your death. So that's reducing your probate expenses. The joy of giving and seeing the impact on lives, especially if you set something up or make a gift that is providing benefits while you're still alive. That's just fabulous. That is powerful and joy-giving. And it enables you to establish that legacy, life-changing legacy, sharing your values, kind of making those family or others, this is what I value, this is what I want to support. So I'm going to kind of hit some giving ideas based on maybe someone's, as a donor's goal, and what giving option that might satisfy. The first one is you want to make a gift now. Well, that's called an outright gift. Basically, it's a giving of full ownership. You're giving some cash outright, out of a CD. Once again, we're giving principal, so it's not just your tithes and offerings giving, with out of your income, but your CD matures and you're making a gift, using that CD money, or you've got some stocks or bonds or whatever. So it's a giving of full ownership and control. Now, there's no strings attached, meaning you're not getting something back. You're not directing anything other than when you make outright gifts, you can direct it to the endowment fund at the church or to particular program and ministry of the church, rather than just here church, here nonprofit, use it as you see fit. You can direct that giving. That's designated or undesignated, is if you just say, here's my gift, use it as you feel best, determine best. So, outright gifts, what kind of assets? Cash. Cash is always easy, but it may not be, as you'll see in a minute, the best choice if you have a choice. Appreciated stocks, bonds, mutual fund shares, life insurance policies, giving the ownership of the policy, and I'll be talking about that, real estate, and possibly even an interest in a business. Those can all be ways to make that kinds of assets to make that outright gift. So benefits, if you make that gift during your lifetime, there's the availability potentially of a charitable income tax deduction equal to the current market value of what you're giving. In the case of something that is appreciated like stocks or bonds or whatever, you bought it at a lower price, the cost basis, but it's now grown in value. If you sold it, it would sell for that higher value. Well, when you make a charitable gift, that's not a sale, but you get to use for your tax deduction that current market value of the asset rather than just what you paid for it. And if giving during life, since it's not a sale, you don't have to recognize capital gains and don't have to pay capital gains tax on that. So, for someone that wanted to do something during their lifetime, make a gift, and you all have had some of those since we've been managing your endowment fund, some stock gifts rather than cash gifts. You've done some cash gifts also, but why might someone choose, if they have the choice, appreciated asset like appreciated stock versus cash? Well, in both cases, if someone was going to give $25,000 and they had the choice between $25,000 of cash or some stock that had a current market value of $25,000, in both cases, if they're in the 27% income tax bracket, they're going to have tax savings of $6,750. That's just 27% times $25,000. If they can itemize deductions, all those things on their tax return. But if they give that appreciated asset, and let's say the person bought that asset for $15,000, it's now worth $25,000, so you got $10,000 of capital gains. You're also saving the 20% capital gains tax. That's that $3,000. So the out of their pocket cost to make appreciated asset gift is just a little over $15,250 versus giving the cash. The cost of it out of their pocket is $18,250. So about a 16.5% lower after-tax cost to use that appreciated asset gift rather than cash. Now this is personally owned stocks or bonds. It can't be out of your IRA. There's a whole different set of rules, and we'll be talking about that on IRAs, but this would be if you had a personal investment account. Just like to always note that. So, outright gift, income tax deduction, equal to the market value if you can itemize, and once again, if you are giving appreciated asset, you're avoiding the capital gains tax. So, giving idea number 2, if a person's goal was flexibility in the timing of the ultimate charities that will benefit from their gift, a type of gift you might want to consider is what's called a donor advised fund. So a donor advised fund is a fund that you open at a public charity like Community Foundation Tampa Bay. There's also Fidelity and Schwab and all those. Those are commercial. We think ours is better. Not the tax benefit is exactly the same, but the services and the knowledge we have in helping folks figure out who to give to, we do that, and those commercial ones don't. So fund open at a public charity. The gift in is irrevocable. So once you give it, you cannot get it back. But when you make that gift in the fund agreement, you reserve the right to make in the future recommendations for distributions or grants out to charities of your choice. The distributions can be of any amount. At Community Foundation, you can anywhere from $100 on up can be the amount that you can grant out. And so that allows you to give now. Maybe there's something going on that it would be helpful to get a nice income tax deduction, but you don't want to decide on this big amount that you want to give right away who to give it to, and you'd like to do it over time. So that's a way for you to make the gift when maybe it's a benefit for other reasons, tax or other reasons, but then decide in the future as long as you want to. There is no rush. You could put it in there and not make recommendations for distributions out for several years, or you could start giving it right away. Literally the moment you put it in, you can start however you want to do that. And any of the assets that I was talking about earlier, you can do for gifts into a donor advised fund. I do add here cryptocurrency, digital assets as well. That's another, at least at Community Foundation, one kind of asset that someone can gift to a donor advised fund, along with the other ones I already mentioned. So benefits, it's giving now when it's beneficial for a tax or other reason, but reserving the right to decide ultimate charitable beneficiaries in the future. The tax deduction is in the year you make the gift, and you can repeat and add gifts year by year, but each time you make a gift into the donor advised fund, it's in that year that the tax deduction is available to you. And if you give a large enough amount that it's not for those percentage limitations on how much you can deduct in a year, you actually have the tax year in which you make the gift. So if you funded a donor advised fund this year and it was too large to be able to deduct it all on your 2024, you got 2024 plus the next 5 tax returns to be able to use up all of that large deduction. And once again, just like outright giving, if you gift appreciated assets, into the donor advised fund as the appreciated asset. Don't sell it, and then, because you got to pay capital gains. But if you give the appreciated asset into the donor advised fund, you once again avoid the capital gains. So, next idea. Making a larger gift than you ever dreamed possible, and that a lot of times can be done using life insurance. A couple different ways to make a life insurance charitable gift. So 2 options. You can gift, if you have wholly owned cash value life insurance, you could literally gift the policy during your lifetime. The tax deduction is equal to your cash surrender value in the policy, roughly. It's a little bit different, but that's the easiest number. Folks understand that. And you give full ownership to the charity, and obviously, as the new owner, the charity then would change the beneficiary to itself. And just to let you all know, to think about promoting, life insurance policies could be gifted to your endowment fund. They don't have to just be an outright gift, and we did a number of those. Now, sometimes folks want a gift and want you to cash it in and get the cash value and put it in there. Sometimes they want to have you hold on to it, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The other way is to just designate the charity as the beneficiary of the policy. They're not giving up their rights. They could change the policy beneficiary in the future. It could be the primary or contingent beneficiary is the charity or endowment fund, at the charitable organization. So 2 ways. So if you're gifting the policy, as I've said, irrevocable, giving all rights in the policy, which then allows the charity as the new owner to change the beneficiary. If the policy is paid up, and sometimes folks say, it's paid up, but I want you to go ahead and cash it in. Sometimes they say, it's paid up, and I'd like you to hold it because what you're going to get when I die, that death benefit is obviously generally much, much larger than the cash surrender value of that. Whichever way, just got to work with the donor on that. If the policy still has premiums due each year, the charity as the owner or the charity's endowment fund as the owner would have to pay those. But the good news is they can make the gift of the policy, get a tax deduction for that this year, and if they have no further obligation to make premium, but if they happen to give the church just the right amount of money each year thereafter to cover the premiums, that's a new charitable gift for which they get a tax deduction. If they get to a point where they say, my finances are just not going to let me give a gift every year to help with the premiums, the church can either take it down to a paid up policy or cash it in at that point in time. But and once again, it's always going to be a gift much larger, especially if it's a death benefit gift, than folks could maybe ever pay out of their pocket. And then beneficiary designation, and that's literally, as I've said, naming the church's endowment fund as the primary or contingent beneficiary on the beneficiary designation on a life insurance policy. If the donor reserves the right to change that, then there's no immediate gift, but at death, that's a charitable gift for which, if you have a large enough estate, your estate would get a charitable estate tax deduction for that. But that allows someone that's just, I think I want to do this, but I'm not positive, or there might be some other need or whatever, but they can maintain control over it during their lifetime. Why life insurance? Well, a lot of folks bought life insurance many years ago when there was going to be a need. If a spouse died early, then there was money to pay off the mortgage or whatever, or to educate children, whatever kind of maybe that is long. The mortgage is paid off, the children are grown and educated, and so that might be an asset that they're willing to let go of during their lifetime. So, benefit, gift of the policy, the tax deduction, gift, beneficiary designation, the estate tax deduction. So next idea, using unneeded IRA required minimum distribution, RMD, wisely. And the way to do that is with what's called a qualified charitable IRA distribution, or you may have heard of QCD. They're fantastic, in my opinion. So basically, an IRA owner that is at least 70 and a half can gift directly out of their IRA, either outright to the church directly or another charity, public charity directly, or to the charity's endowment fund, money out of their IRA. Now, it is a somewhat limited amount. It's $105,000 in 2024. They built in last year cost of living adjustment. It had just been a flat $100,000 for a number of years, but now it's a cost. So for this year, it's $105,000. I have not read yet, probably we'll know in about another month what it will be for 2025, but that adjusts up based on the changes in the cost of living. And as I say, directly to the charity or to an endowment fund benefiting the charity, it counts as part of that person's required minimum distribution. Now, that age to start having to take it is now 73, but the age when you can use IRA money, it stayed at 70 and a half. But once you get to 73, the tax laws require that you take a certain amount each year. Now, many people, they depend and will need that for their living expenses. But in some cases, they have other resources, income resources, they don't need that. And so this can be a great way to provide and make charitable gifts. You're giving it in a way that it's not included in your income. If you're under 70 and a half and you give money out of your IRA, it's included in your income, and of course there's no required minimum distribution. So it's not included in your income, and it counts as, if you're old enough to have to take required minimum distributions, it counts as that. And something else came to my mind. Oh, I'm going to tell on myself. My mother's financial advisor, my mother started working with a financial advisor a number of years ago, and after a couple of years, when she kind of got the sense, and my mother had set up some, because she gave monthly to her church and to some other charities here in the St. Petersburg area on a regular basis each year, she decided to set that up. Well, I think just the one to her church, to regularly come out of just her investment account. Well, not her smart, tax lawyer attorney, but her financial advisor said, Pat, why don't you start having your tithe, your monthly tithe to your church and these other regular gifts you make every year to these charities, why don't you have that come out of your IRA rather than out of a pocket? So, it doesn't have to be a bulk $105,000 gift. It can be tithes, your regular giving to your church or some other charity that you give to on a regular basis. The other charities my mother was supporting and switched over out of her IRA, she just gave to twice a year a certain amount, and so we set those up. But it's not just a mega gift. It can be your regular giving, but giving it because then she had other income that she used for living, but she was avoiding having to be taxed on that, so she was reducing her taxable income, count toward her required minimum distribution, and it was a win-win. And she, quite frankly, never quite got it. She knew it was a good thing, but she would say, Laurie, this is right. I said, yes, ma'am, it is perfect. Amy led you correctly, unlike me. So yeah, it's a good thing. So, avoiding being taxed benefits on a portion of your required minimum distribution that goes to the charity. Amount distributed counts as your required minimum distribution. It's not included in your income. And folks that don't give enough, and quite frankly, my mother was one of those, she couldn't, once the standard deduction got up so high back in 2018, I guess it was, she wasn't giving enough that even to charity, and that was her only deduction, to quite get above that. But she still could use the QCD to reduce her income. And that's another thing when you're thinking about, if you take that money out of your IRA into your income, that's increasing all of your income, which could, I now identify this as of 2 years ago, increase your Medicare premium. So, you know, keeping it down, lots of reasons you might want to keep your income down. So, anyway. Okay, next idea. Making a charitable gift during your lifetime, but reserving the right to receive a fixed income for you or you and one other person for the rest of your lifetime. That is called a charitable gift annuity. And that's one thing when we have charitable organizations like the church that are fund holders. That is one thing that we offer to our fund holders, is that we will do the charitable gift annuity gift. And I'll explain why y'all don't want to do it, because there's liabilities involved in doing that. You got to make those payments no matter what happens to the gift that is made for those. But so that's something to keep in mind. A little bit more complex, but not real complex. But anyway, so basically a charitable gift annuity is a contract between you, the giver, and a charitable organization. And I'm just going to use Community Foundation Tampa Bay as an example. The charity, Community Foundation, agrees to pay you or you and one other person, it's just 2 lives, a fixed, never-changing annuity payment for the rest of your lifetime. The amount you're going to receive as that annuity payment is based on your age or the ages of the 2 people at the time that they make the gift to fund the gift annuity, okay? And then the gift annuity agreement says, at my death, whatever remains gets added. At least our rules are it must come to the endowment for UU Church St. Pete. It can't go outright to the church. Some charities allow it to go outright, but we do not. It has to stay in endowment with us, but it'll benefit the church. So anyway, so here's kind of a picture. To me, a picture is worth a million of my babbling words. So we've got Mary Jones, and she is 70 years of age, and she wants to set up something for the future benefit of the church. And we share, but while she really could give that away, that $50,000 of cash, and it wouldn't be detrimental to her financial situation, she's not ready to give up. She's ready to give up the principal, if you will, but that the earnings she's getting, maybe it's in a CD, she's not too keen about that. So we explain, since she is 70 years of age, the payout rate for a 70-year-old is 6.3%. So if she uses $50,000 cash to fund a charitable gift annuity at Community Foundation, she's going to get, for the rest of her life, $3,150 a year, 6.3% times 50,000. The good news is a portion of that payment each year is going to be tax-free, a little over 60% of that. So she may be increasing her income. She probably is not with that CD earning 6.3%, but she's going to increase her cash flow, but not her taxable income. And she is going to get a tax deduction. Now, yes, she gave $50,000, but remember, she's keeping back for herself an income stream. So it's not going to be a $50,000 charitable income tax deduction. It's going to be $19,650. Whenever I ran this, which was a couple of months ago, that can vary just a hair. If she lives for her whole 15.9-year life expectancy, and we take her gift and invest it, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I had the number in there, to have an average annual return, very modest, of 4.5%, left to go into the endowment fund will be almost $22,000, assuming that's the average return over that almost 16 years if she lived out her full life expectancy. So a win for her, because back in her pocket will be $63,000 of annuity payments, for which you'll have to pay some income tax on a portion of that, but nice still gift left, future gift for the church. And if she dies sooner, whatever's left, whether it's bigger, you know, is what goes into the endowment fund for the church. So, benefits, income, she can't outlive because those annuity payments are an obligation of, in this case, Community Foundation Tampa Bay. No matter what happens to her gift, we have a contractual obligation to make those payments to her for the rest of her lifetime. That's why you all don't want to do it. And income tax deduction in the year that she funds the gift, makes the gift to fund the charitable gift annuity. And if she uses, I illustrated cash, but you can also use publicly traded stocks, bonds, real estate. If she uses that, she's going to avoid some of the capital gains. You do have, each payment will, in the case if you use appreciated stock, part will be tax-free, part will be taxed as if it's capital gains, and then part will be taxed as ordinary income if you use appreciated assets. But anyway, just information there. Next idea, make a gift now and receive a variable income for life. And that's, I'm going to talk about a charitable remainder unitrust. There's actually two versions of a charitable remainder trust. There's a charitable remainder annuity trust. It's different than a gift annuity, but fixed payments never changing. So the unitrust amount, the charitable remainder unitrust is the form, it's an irrevocable trust. It's a separate document that you have drawn up by your attorney. This is where professional advisors definitely get involved with this. The unitrust amount, the amount that's going to be paid out to you, is a designated percentage that you write into the unitrust agreement. Under the tax laws, it has to be at least 5%, so that designated payout rate times the value of the assets in the trust as revalued each year. So you put in $500,000 this year, and it's 5% or whatever it is of that. If next year the value of the trust assets have grown as of January 1, you would get a higher amount, you know, for that. Sometimes it may go down, but hopefully over time, if you've selected a fairly reasonable payout rate and it's invested well, it is going to grow and to keep up. The point is keeping up with inflation with that. And then the trust agreement says whatever's left at the end of and it can be more than just 2 lives, it could be a number of lives that are receiving, the individuals that are receiving the unitrust amount. But whenever all the unitrust income, if you will, beneficiaries are deceased, then whatever's left goes outright to charity or into an endowment fund for charity. So, just like before, the various assets that I've been talking about being able to give, these are all options for using when you're funding a gift annuity. a charitable remainder unitrust, sorry. So, once again, I think that picture worth 1,000 words. We've got Sam and Martha Smith. They are ages, I should have put my glasses on. I need this a little higher or something. Anyway, sorry, Sam is 72 and Martha is 70. They've got some rental real estate and they've owned it for many years, and it's got a current market value of $250,000, and the cost basis, what they paid for it, or maybe depreciated down, whatever, is $100,000 currently. So if they sold that real estate, there'd be $150,000 of capital gains on which they'd have to pay capital gains tax. They're not too keen about that. They're very charitably inclined. They're ready to get out of the landlord business, but they don't want that capital gains tax hit. So we share with them the idea of a charitable remainder unitrust. And at ages 72 and 70, there's likely, hopefully, quite a few years of living, and so having something that will hopefully, that payment out to them will grow over time would be a good thing rather than a fixed amount. So they deed the real estate. They don't sell it. They deed the real estate to the charitable remainder trust, the charitable remainder trust trustee sells the real estate, a charitable remainder trust is a tax-exempt entity. So the full proceeds, other than costs to sell, stay there to be invested to make those payments out to Sam and Martha for the rest of their lifetime. Once again, they're keeping an income stream of 5% times the value of the assets in the trust as revalued each year. So they're not getting a $250,000 income tax deduction, but they are getting a little over $100,000 income tax deduction. And once again, if they can't use it all in the year they make the gift on their tax return, they've got 5 more tax years to use that up. They're avoiding being taxed on $150,000 of gain. Their first year income, 5% times $250,000, that's where that $12,500. Projected total unitrust payments, if we have a 7% average annual return of the unitrust assets over their 24-year joint and several life expectancy, back in their pocket will be a little over $380,000, and left for charity at the end of the time, a little over $400,000. So a win for them, and because maybe after all the expenses, while they were landlords, they weren't getting 5% return, maybe they were, but then very significant future gift. And once again, it could be notched up to 6%. That would give them a little more and a little less future for charity, but very, very significant benefit to them. So, income stream that hopefully, if not too high of a payout rate and well invested, is going to grow over time to hopefully keep up with or keep near to inflation, keep that buying power of what's coming out to them. Income tax deduction in the year that they do the deed of the property or the gift of the cash or the stock or whatever into the trust, with, once again, 5 more tax years to use up the full amount, and avoiding capital gains tax, because that gift in is not a sale. And last but not least, if the goal is make a gift at death, well, gift in your will or your trust. Very simple. So it can be a gift of a specific asset or a specific amount. I know I had a lot of clients who were, had strong spiritual thinking and focus. They tithed their estate 10% of everything that was passing under their will, beneficiary designated, retirement account, life insurance, whatever, to do that final gift, or a share of remainder. Maybe a concept that I was introduced to a number of years ago, a child called charity. Many folks have supported their church all their lives. And unfortunately, the next generations aren't quite as faithful to that. And so to think someone is going to step into your shoes to provide that ongoing support may or may not be the case. Just like you've supported maybe children. So instead of that, or nieces or nephews or whatever, put the charity in, the church or whatever charity in, as if you've got 3 other family member beneficiaries that are receiving the remainder, whatever's left after any specific gifts, turn it into 4 and perhaps give charity 25% of that or whatever. But another option, another thought there. So, outright gift, here it is, you all decide, charity, that certainly can be done. Adding to maybe an endowment fund that the donor has created for the benefit of the charity, or to the charity's own endowment fund, that certainly is a way to do that. Or gift, just like outright gifts during life, you can also in your will or trust say, and church, charity, I want you to use it for this particular program or service that you provide. Or here it is, charity, church, you decide what to do with it. So, benefits, since it's not happening till you die, the only one is an estate tax deduction. If you die this year, you've got to have an estate of, well, $13,610,000 to worry about federal estate taxes, and Florida doesn't have a death tax, so probably not any worry right now. But if Congress does not act, that number is whittling down significantly and will only be somewhere between $6 or $7 million come January 1st of 2026. So that's something to think about. Yeah, we would all be so fortunate to have that, even that worry. But anyway. So I know I have thrown a lot at you. I did. Hopefully everybody got a copy of the slides. My contact information is on the last one. Get your magnifying glass out. It's kind of tiny. But if I can answer any particular, personal questions that you have, there is no cost or obligation to call me. There's no meter running with me because I work for the Community Foundation. They're paying my bill. But I'm here. We are a resource for the church and for its members. And any way and any kind of answer, question you might have in this realm that I might be able to help with, just reach out and let me know. Mm-hmm. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So the qualified charitable IRA distribution, it's only for IRAs, not for other funds that have been part of the institution.
That is correct. Only, right. Individual retirement account is the only one from which you can do a qualified charitable distribution. Yeah, 401k, yeah, I just revisited that question for someone that was trying to help folks figure out, because we've created some hurricane response funds, endowment kind of funds at Community Foundation, and so someone was giving out that you could give it out of your 401k. No, you cannot. It does have to be an individual retirement account, excuse me. Anything else?
If you give a gift at your death,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't specify, like you give to the church, you don't specify the endowment fund,
Mm-hmm.
you'll just go into the general.
I'm going to let church.
So on the endowment board, we are trying to get people to think about giving to the endowment, and we've set up a mechanism whereby if you have designated amounts in your will, you can let us know that whatever that amount is, if it's going to the church, that you intend that it go to endowment. So it's a little tricky, and we're trying to make sure we honor the intentions of our donors. But right now, it's basically a letter or a form that says, the church is going to be getting this money at some future point, and I want it to go to the endowment. So I've done that. I think a number of other people have. So. Okay, well, great. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Laurie. It's been quite informative and mind-blowing, if nothing else. So please feel free to call on Laurie or any member of the endowment committee if you have any questions or just want to talk more. Thank you.